stand, fought horrific battles against other tyrants, and yet lived to tell the tale.
Yep, it lived to tell the tale. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Live Fam. Now today, bro, we got the most brutal prehistoric injuries ever survived by Extinct Zoo. Now, you guys been wanting me to react to Extinct Zoo, and honestly, I'm pretty sure I've reacted to him in the past and stuff, so this is obviously peak content about animals and things in the past that we don't know about, and just educational videos about animals in general. So without further ado, make sure to grab your popcorn. Let's see. I felt weird. I usually do it with the right arm, but I did it with the left. You know what? I gotta get ambidextrous.
It's no secret that prehistoric Earth is a trove of mystery and wonder. It seems like the further we go back, the crazier things get, and the world looks less and less like the one we occupy today.
Facts.
And because of this,
like, I feel like if we ever had a time machine for real and we were able to go back, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about hundreds of years ago. I mean, not hundreds of years, hundreds of millions of years ago. Like, just imagine the drastic difference. I mean, most of us would probably not be able to survive in general. Like, even for like 5 seconds, bro. I mean, just because of the air quality or anything that happened that it was like back then.
The past has become an interesting time to imagine, especially thinking about what time traveling to back then would be like. Yet, if there really was a magical button that could permanently send you back in time, I am sure you'd be hard pressed too.
Bro, what the f is this, bro? This looked like a koala mixed with a dinosaur mixed with a lizard. Like, what?
Press it. Or at least I would. As it doesn't take a genius to figure out that prehistoric Earth was exceptionally brutal and home to many tough sons of a gun. Dinosaurs, saber-tooths, woolly mammoths, mosasaurs, etc., etc. You get the picture. Their sizes, feats, and durability are all legendary. But
but what that neck do though? What that neck do?
Their sizes, feats, and durability are all legendary. But sometimes it takes a real unique fossil to remind us of just how metal they truly were. And I would say the most famous examples of this are perhaps those that showcase two animals stuck in eternal battle, like the infamous fighting dinosaurs.
Eternal battle?
Intense, no doubt. But what I think actually demonstrates...
Dude, did they actually find a fossil of them actually fighting, and this is how they died, bro? Yo, that's actually so insane. I've never seen something like that.
The infamous fighting dinosaurs. Intense, no doubt.
Oh my gosh.
But what I think actually demonstrates the true grit of prehistoric animals best are the specimens who bear gruesome wounds, scars, disease, etc. And yet somehow still manage to carry on. In some cases making full recoveries, and making me darn ashamed of how I react to blood tests. And because prehistoric animals were so bonkers...
I ain't gonna lie, those blood tests be annoying though, bruh. Cause it's something about that needle, like it's different than just getting your shots at the doctor or whatever, bro. Cause I mean, obviously it has to go in and suck your blood out, you know what I'm saying? Not on no freaky shit, but yeah, that needle just feels different, bro.
Ashamed of how I react to blood tests. And because prehistoric animals were so bonkers, there's actually a long list of examples to choose from. But a pretty good place to start is with an animal that got its face literally snatched. Like, they're not snatched, their face got snatched.
Wow.
And yet somehow lived to tell the tale. And what was this?
You get it? Live to tell the tale. Come on, chat, that was funny.
A prognathodon. Now, you might not have heard of this animal before, but it belonged to the iconic Mosasaurs, and was actually one of the largest members to have appeared, with the longest specimens in record reaching about 12 meters or 39 feet from snout to tail, while being heavier than certain whales. So, obviously
3 to 4 tons? Jesus Christ!
A chunkster. And even among mosasaurs, it was known for having strangely massive jaws that were backed by absurdly powerful muscles and thick conical pocket knife-sized teeth, which had a mix of serrations and smooth surfaces.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get caught by this nigga in the ocean, bro. You time travel, do not go in the ocean, specifically for this motherfucker.
So, it's no shocker that this was a top predator, who found immense success in North America, Africa, Europe, and Australia throughout the late Cretaceous. And based on its teeth, the areas it lived, and direct predatory evidence, it is believed to have been a hunter of virtually everything.
Literally anything.
One specimen alone showing gut contents consisting of fish, cephalopods, and turtles. So when you combine this range with the aggressive nature of mosasaurs in general, what you get is the realization that others of their kind were fair game from time to time, meaning cannibals. An absolutely gruesome
Yeah, that makes sense, bro. I mean, usually the animals that tend to have a pretty wide range of diet, they end up, you know, at least from my understanding, they always end up being able to eat their own too, bro. Usually the ones that are not super violent or whatever, they have like a certain plant diet or something, or they just eat one type of fish, you know, and they don't be really attacking their family like that. But these motherfuckers, they be eating whatever. I mean, at some point, they're like, whoa, what do I taste like actually? Like, get your hungry asses on, babe.
Example of this was seen in the specimen dubbed NHMM 2012-072. Discovered in the Netherlands, this prehistoric trooper had a pretty obvious wound, and that was that its face was essentially missing. To be more specific, huge chunks of its upper jaw, cortical bone, and parts of its premaxilla had all been stripped away by something ridiculously powerful. And given the size of the actual victim, it's presumed that said something was another Mosasaur. Perhaps even a fellow Pregnathodon was to blame, who was trying to cannibalize our protagonist. Now, close your eyes and take a second to imagine what it would be like to have your upper jaw straight up annihilated. And not only this, but to have this happen in the wild millions of years ago with no medical care. And just for the sake of imagination, you also have flippers instead of hands, so you can't even cover your fresh new gaping wound. I
don't want to imagine this no more. I'm done.
Chances, eh? And for most people,
yeah, you're pretty much dead. I mean, if it's not from the bleeding out, it's gonna be from something else. But is it like kind of the back of his face too? Wouldn't that be like an area where his brain is or something?
Not super great chances, eh? And for most people, an obliterated jaw without serious medical intervention, or even with, would likely be fatal. But for this Pregnathodon, it was just another Tuesday. And despite this heaping hole where its face should have been, the specimen seems to have survived for a long time, with it showing signs of healing both in the surrounding tissue.
I wonder if they like felt pain all the time though. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, or do they get infections and stuff? Something where it would cause a lot of pain to make them just not function correctly.
And the actual bones. However, obviously the healing would have been excruciating, as between the blood loss, screaming nerve endings, and massive tissue trauma, the inflammation was so intense that it caused enough pressure to seize blood flow in certain areas, leading to sections of its face becoming essentially dead tissue. And as if this wasn't enough, problems would also arise later on as bacteria seeped into this wound, causing infection. And though the Pregnathodon had survived the actual physical wound for an extensive time, possibly even longer than a year, it seemed that the subsequent bacterial infection might have been its undoing. Not through any organ failure, mind you, but rather the predator reached a point where it could just no longer operate its jaws, or what was left of it, and thus slowly starved. But let me restate, it was actually fine without the jaws, relatively speaking. It was just the pesky bacteria that officially ruined the party down the road. So yeah.
Wow, that's insane, bro. So I mean, he's still a trooper regardless, because he was still going, you know, with fucking half of his jaw just completely gone. And the only thing that really stopped him was external things, the bacteria, him giving infections, which is literally what I was talking about, which is the most risk when it comes to any open wound, whether you're a fucking animal, human, and whatever. The worst thing you could possibly have that can literally kill you unexpectedly is an open wound, bro, because that shit can get infected. That's why, you know, with surgeries and everything, they have to stitch you up a certain way, clean things or whatever. You got to do certain things. When you get your teeth done, you get your teeth out, there's a certain cleaning process. Like, cleaning shit is the most important, and then also making sure that something can't get in, you know? So for them to not have access to anything like that, and he's just swimming around fucking with a wide open wound, his whole jaw gone, then it was only a matter of time until a bacteria infection was so bad that he just can't function no more.
Certified badass. But not every
he is badass though for going that long in general and just swimming like it's nothing.
Catastrophic injury eventually leads to this outcome. Some animals recover near 100%. And perhaps none show as much durability as the king of prehistory itself, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let me tell you, through the years, not one, but multiple specimens have proven that this behemoth truly earned its title. And actually, it's some of the most famous specimens that you've probably heard of that bear the most gruesome pathology.
This statue reminds me of that one movie, Night at the Museum, Chad. I used to be so obsessed with that movie. Anybody know that movie?
Take Stan, for example, a titan of a Rex that was discovered in 1987, living 66 million years ago, and was about 11.8 meters or 38.6 feet long. So an absolute giant, and undoubtedly an apex predator. But as its skeleton so shows, being king was not easy, and Stan was riddled in numerous
his jaw looked completely fucking shattered.
Wounds and diseases. Off the bat, puncture marks were located on the back of the skull and ribs that were both deep and wide. It only fit the description of one tooth that we know of, a tooth of another T-Rex. Meaning,
yeah, that's automatically what I was gonna assume anyways, because I'm like, for it to have severe punctures like that, it has to be from another T-Rex, bro. I mean, what else was big as hell back then, had huge ass teeth like that can pierce a literal Tyrannosaurus Rex, bro, other than another one and another one and another. Okay, but like, you guys get the point, bro. Like, that's the only thing back then, is that there would be vicious fights, because if a T-Rex gets in a beef with another T-Rex, it's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be horrible. I mean, how do you even win that, to be honest? Both of them gotta die. I feel like they not gonna stop until both of them did.
Of another T-Rex. Meaning, Stan fought horrific battles against other tyrants, and yet lived to tell the tale.
Yep, it lived to tell the tale.
Horrific battles against other tyrants, and yet lived to tell the tale. And these weren't any love bites, being absolutely deep enough to cause horrific pain. And in the
For
case of
real?
the skull bite, a nasty concussion
Oh.
at the very, very minimum, as it was bad enough to puncture his brain case. Yet, apparently for Stan, this was light work, and not even the worst of it.
Light
As
work?
the third bite to the base of his skull showed signs of having literally broken his neck. Now
Oh
I think
my
I need not tell you that
God.
a broken neck is typically fatal news.
Typically, I mean, most of the time, 100% of the time. Yeah, you break your neck, you're most likely breaking the nerve endings that connect to your fucking brain and shit. So how do you even function after that point? Unless you broke it at the right angle or something. I don't know.
Typically fatal news. But for a T-Rex, I guess it's just an unpleasant nuisance, as it ended up healing over time. Now,
Wow.
the healing was by no means perfect, as the damage caused growth of excess bone and the fusion of two vertebrae, leading to certain chronic discomfort and mobility issues for the rest of Stan's life, making its long-term survival just that much more amazing. And if this wasn't enough, bites to his cheeks, jaw, and fractured ribs from blunt trauma were all on the menu as well.
God damn.
Even the tiniest of nasties didn't leave Stan alone, with round holes to his face implying that bone-eating parasites became a daily part of his life at some point
That too. That's the thing about the dinosaurs too, is that they're so huge that, you know, they probably don't even notice all the bacterial viruses and shit that just be going on their body. Not even viruses, what's it called? Parasites. The parasites that be going in their body and shit. I mean, they're so fucking massive. But what are they gonna do? Fucking scratch their back or something and be like, oh, get off me. Like, no, they just walking around doing their thing, being the apex predators they are, bro. I mean, if the guy is living with, you know, broken jaw, broken neck, all this shit, you think he's gonna worry about some damn parasites? And what's crazy about the parasites is that's most likely gonna be the thing to take him out too.
All of this together is clearly a lot.
Because obviously, externally, you can't take this motherfucker out, but, you know, internally, I mean, something goes on in there. There's nothing you can do about it.
This together is clearly a lot, and no easy feat to survive. And yet, Stan managed to continue hunting and defending his territory, with the true insanity of all of this being that it wasn't these injuries that even eventually got him, rather, old age, with his estimated
That
age
too.
of death being
Age.
about 24 years old, which is very respectable for a large theropod. However, he ain't the only Rex to have gone through the ringer, and actually, the most famous one out there might have him beat, living far longer in spite of horrifying injuries. And
Really?
yes, I am talking about good old Sue. If you like dinosaurs, you've heard of Sue. But what I bet you didn't hear of was that its life wasn't all glamorous either, despite being queen. Or perhaps king. And throughout it, Sue endured what should have been career-ending injuries, so you could say. One such example was a badly damaged right shoulder blade that made the usage of the arm rather dubious.
Damn.
While the same limb also suffered a torn tendon at some point. And it's thought that this injury was actually inflicted during a struggle with prey, which in the T-Rex's case were also giants in their own right. And it seems that in the midst of battle, Sue also ended up with not one, but 3 broken ribs.
That's the thing too that I think about as well, is that, you know, when the dinosaurs were alive, there's also other big predators too. I mean, look at this. What is this considered? It looks like a fucking rhino, a mutated rhino of some sort. I'm sure it's just a different type of dinosaur, but there's different type of dinosaurs. There's themselves that they're competing with, plus any other fucking huge animals that existed back then. So, you know, they was gonna get in fights regardless, and it wasn't just gonna be like, oh, T-Rexes were just bullying everybody. They had to fight for their own. And yeah, they probably come out on top most of the time, but shit, they still had to get in the ring. Throw them gloves, bro.
And yet, of course, in typical Sue fashion, or perhaps T-Rex fashion, she survived well past this incident, with signs of healing being very obvious. Then on top of violent injuries, Sue also had to deal with multiple health ailments as well, most notably being that its left fibula was grossly enlarged, and she also had fused caudal vertebrae, both believed to have been caused by different infections that sprung up.
What?
Its massive tail was also fused and badly damaged, attributed to arthritis due to repeated injuries, while signs of gout, a complex form of arthritis, also affected Sue as well. And just for that final cherry on top, Sue, like many T-Rexes, like Stan, had holes in the front of the skull. At first, these ones were thought to have come from a run-in with another Tyrannosaur, or perhaps being due to a bacterial infection.
Yeah, it's either
Yet,
one of those.
After more
but-
analysis, the true answer became a bit more nauseating, which is that Sue likely had an infestation of parasites that burrowed into its jaw and feasted on the titanic skull.
God damn. Like I said, it makes sense, bro. Because these dinosaurs, I mean, they don't fucking feel pain. They get in all these battles and all this shit. And I'm telling you, them parasites are going to be the sneaky motherfuckers that do the most damage on them. Because, like I said, they're going so much inside that they're eating at the skull. Like, that's insane.
With all of this pathology, it's pretty insane that Sue could survive, let alone thrive. But of course, thrive Sue did, reaching full maturity and achieving a massive size, over 40 feet,
40
or 12.3
feet?
meters in length, while weighing up to 14 tons.
Oh
making
my
an African
God.
elephant seem like a freaking shrimp.
Oh my god.
Then a final middle finger to its
That's what I'm saying, Chad. Like, we look at an African elephant.
making an African
Elephants are huge, bro. So just imagine freaking seeing a dinosaur in real life. Holy crap.
elephant seem like a freaking shrimp. And then a final middle finger to its injuries. Sue also ended up living for a very long time, relatively speaking, only passing away at 33 years old.
33? That's a long time.
Long-lived, but the longest lived specimen ever recovered.
Really?
Talk about an eventful life. But
yo, W fucking Sue, bro. She a warrior for real.
honestly, it wasn't just the kings and queens taking some heat, as there are a boatload of crazy dino injuries out there. And while I do want to come back to them, I wouldn't want us mammals.
And I wonder if a lot of their injuries, especially when it comes to tendons and stuff, is due to their massive size and weight and stuff, bro. If you think about it, I mean, even as humans, you know, just the logical idea, you gain more weight and stuff. First of all, your health at risk, which is most important, but also your bones and tendons and shit at risk because you're putting a whole bunch of weight on, you know, joints and stuff, which can make you more susceptible to injuries. So I wonder if it's kind of the same for dinosaurs. Like, they were too big for their body and stuff, because honestly, their body compared to just their legs and stuff, I mean, it looks like it's a lot of weight to carry. Think about it. So the whole tendon things and everything that go through those type of injuries kind of makes sense if you think about it. At least with rhinos and stuff, like look at these animals right here. They got all fours and they're standing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're able to distribute their weight a little better. Like any animal that has, you know, that walks on fours or whatever. I feel like that might actually be a contributing factor to the injuries of the dinosaurs.
Feeling left out.
What do you guys think?
Because we certainly dealt with some crazy BS too, including, by the way, prehistoric humans, who were obviously just built different. And if you've seen one of my older videos, you know that Neanderthals in particular could be quite the metal bunch. And perhaps no Neanderthal specimen proved this as much as Shanidar 1, lovingly nicknamed Nandy, who I personally think also goes down as the toughest fossilized hominin thus far. To set the stage a bit, Nandy was a roughly 45 to 65,000 year old Neanderthal that lived in what is now Iraq, occupying a cave, and lived such an extremely harsh life that it was even immediately clear to excavators, who quickly noted his severely deformed skeleton. Now, violence wouldn't have been a stranger to people back in those times, and it seems to have been responsible for at least a few of his ailments, including one of his prominent injuries that occurred early in life, a crushing blow to the head, possibly from a blunt force weapon. And let's just say this was no walked into a wall on accident kind of blow.
White blurred cheeks.
But rather a major violent strike to the left side of his skull, which not only shattered his left orbit, blinding him in his eye, but also left him with a permanent traumatic brain injury that caused various developmental issues and damaged the part of his brain responsible for controlling his right side. And this in turn might have led to some degree of paralysis, contributing to another major problem observed: his extremely shrunken, withered right arm and leg. That's also been blamed on a degenerative disease. And living like this certainly was not easy, as the
bro, he's already pretty much set up for failure right there, bro. He's got his brain issues and stuff from that blunt force trauma, and then on top of that, you know what I'm saying, with the limbs and everything, like, god damn, I mean, he's already different. I wonder though, because I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, damn, is his head so fucked up that that's what actually made him feel different? Because he's just like, fuck at that point, you know what I'm saying?
Living like this certainly was not easy, as the withering of the limbs made him susceptible to even more accidents and injuries, which was reflected by the deformed arms, which bore signs of having been fractured in not one, but several places, maybe from a fall, and thus further impairing his muscle functionality. And though he would recover from this, it does seem that the break directly or indirectly led to the loss of his lower arm and hand, which were missing and might have been surgically amputated. So we're not off to a nice start for Nandy, and sadly for him, we are still at the start, because the list of problems remains long.
Bro, how much more did he go through?
Legs that each was broken in either a single or separate events.
Damn.
Now we don't have a clue as to what caused these breaks, yet they clearly made life just that much more painful for Nandy and left him with a pronounced and bothersome limp that would only be worsened by an additional foot injury wherein he fractured his right metatarsal. So here
Jesus Christ, is he on a speed run to break all of his bones? Like, bro, by the time he was dead, everything was broken.
The poor man is limping around with brain damage, can't see much. Oh, and he was pretty much deaf too, having exostosis, or lesions that completely blocked his right ear canal and partially closed his left. And together, this all left him limited in many of the senses from which we derive pleasure, and not even his taste was left alone, in a sense. As to compensate for his limited arm functionality, Nandy apparently used his teeth a lot more as tools, in order to grip or tear items, resulting in them being seriously worn down, and causing sensitivity to cold and heat.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
And certainly painful jaw and headaches, making even eating an unenjoyable event.
God damn, just everything about this dude's life was just chaotic. and sucked. Honestly sucked, bro. From his brain to his vision to his hearing to now even his eating. Like, he literally, all the main senses that we use to enjoy everything, he doesn't have it. And on top of that, he's got a whole bunch of broken bones. He got an amputated arm. Like, dude, holy shit.
So at this point, he really didn't need any more problems. But just to round it out, his body also showed signs of suffering from DISH, which stands for diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis, and occurs when abnormal calcification, or bone formations, grow in various parts of the body, leading to pain, stiffness, and further mobility issues. So all in all,
bro, he don't need more mobility issues than he already has, bro. God dang.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Nandy should have died very early on. And yet,
yeah, I would think so.
Despite the pedigree of his problems, which says two things. One, someone owed this guy at least 100 drinks.
For real.
Two, that he had some help, as there is no way that a Neanderthal, or let alone Homo sapien, could have survived alone with such injuries.
Yeah, definitely had people around him that genuinely loved him, which is good, you know what I'm saying? I mean, good to know all the way back then we had that compassion for each other and stuff, at least for the most part, except the guy that fucking blunt hit his brain. God damn, you started it all, bro. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? He probably had a family, people were taking care of him, helping him do certain things because he couldn't, and I'm sure his body slowly started deteriorating every single day just because of all the limitations he has on him.
Injuries that made his day-to-day life excruciating and would have prevented him from even completing simple tasks. And we do know that he actually didn't live alone, with a cave in which he was found containing at least 10 other individuals that presumably helped to care for him. And what this also shows, at least you could argue, is that his survival demonstrates a degree of empathy and love.
Yes,
because
it does,
as one paleontologist put it, Nandy would not have been able to offer anything meaningful to the others, and thus was kept alive because they cared for who he was. And that Neanderthal healthcare sure turned out to be quite effective, as Nandy defied the odds and lived until approximately 45 years old.
He lived until 45 with all these things, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, that's a feat of his own, bro. Like, I was about to predict like maybe in his 30s, mid 30s at most. 45, pretty much almost 50. That's amazing. That's honestly amazing.
Making him an elder for the time. And in fact, the oldest specimen from the cave, which is truly impressive. And really, prehistoric humans in general are kind of known for being tough cookies. I mean, even large massacre sites show that.
Hey, I would not question that at all. Anything prehistoric and you're a human prehistorically, yeah, you're different, bro. You know how we use that same built different? No, they was actually built different.
As deceased individuals typically had signs of surviving previous attacks, often shrugging off spear stabs, blows to the head with blunted weapons, and severe lacerations, which in some cases even took their limbs clean off. What's really interesting to me about the whole Nandy situation is that researchers basically said, well, this proves cooperation because bro had no chance alone. And actually, the same logic has also been applied to another animal, in which socialness has often been a topic of debate, the Smilodon. Yep,
Smilodon?
Just like the king of the Cretaceous, the king of the Ice Age could also have it rough. And no place shows this better than the La Brea tar pits, a predator trap which to date has yielded over 8,000 cases of paleopathology. Amongst them, you'll see bacterial infections, broken teeth from biting too hard, fractured bones, etc. But there is
I feel like it's hella easy to fuck up your teeth when they're like this.
See bacterial infections, broken teeth from biting too hard.
Biting down too hard, I feel like you bite down at all. You misbite at all, bro. You gonna easily bite your tongue with these teeth. Yo, I be getting pissed the fuck off when I bite like the inside of my mouth and my tongue and shit.
Hard, fractured bones, etc. But there is one specimen amongst the bunch that really sticks out, and is often considered the most striking example of this from the La Brea tar pits, LAC-MHC 131. This is actually a Smilodon fatalis pelvis discovered in the 1930s that can be nicely summed up as mishappened, with the right hip clearly being malformed in shape and heavily destroyed, while the left side remained fairly normal, giving us a good contrast of just how banged up this pelvic bone really was.
Wow.
At first, it was believed that a traumatic injury had crippled the Smilodon in question, but after recent scans of the bone, the cause was revised to a devastating birth defect.
Yeah, that looks more, especially since it's just a one-sided thing, that it looks like it's been there already, if that makes sense. Like it's been just slowly deteriorating throughout time. Like for it to be completely just half, I feel like if it was an attack or something on the literal pelvis, like somebody chomped down on this shit, it's gonna have all types of cracks everywhere, like something. But since, yeah, it was just kind of the left side of it, you know, that had to been like a birth defect.
Giving us an injury had crippled the Smilodon in question. But after recent scans of the bone, the cause was revised to a devastating birth defect, where upon infancy, the pelvis started to remodel, and not in a good way, with the socket and ball joint being heavily impacted as well. And as one study described it, the joints were essentially obliterated.
Wow.
Overall, this was not good news for Diego. Albeit, it may not sound super fatal, seeing that in people today a broken pelvis, or a deformed one, is not necessarily life-threatening to an otherwise healthy individual. But the key difference here is that Smilodons just didn't have access to modern healthcare, obviously, and their prey was pretty much exclusively giant megafaunal beasts like literal mammoths. Thus, a severely dysfunctional pelvis would be a literal death sentence.
Yeah.
With it hampering.
But that's the thing with a destroyed pelvis. What exactly are, you know what I'm saying, the things that you can't do? I actually want to search this up. I'm assuming it's going to be super hard to walk or anything. Fractured pelvis often caused by high impact trauma results in severe pain and inability to walk. Yeah, so basically what I say, potential injury to internal organs, nerves, or blood vessels. That makes sense too, because if your pelvis is broken, I mean, how do we know like a part of the bone ain't going somewhere else too, and damaging your organs, or like it says, the nerves or blood vessels. So yeah, that's huge risk.
Means of it grappling with large prey or chasing them down. On top of this, the inflicted Smilodon would have needed to sort out on how to defend territory and compete with other predators as well. Both rather unlikely stories with barely functioning legs.
Right.
And yet, despite these hurdles, the specimen clearly ended up living into adulthood, something deemed impossible for it to do if the Smilodon truly was a lone predator. And thus, some have referenced the specimen as strong evidence of gregarious behavior in saber-toothed cats, with the proposed idea being that its familial unit would share its meal and take care of defending territory. As like Nandy, this specimen would not be able to participate in many activities.
Yeah, they definitely had to get taken care of for sure, just like the Nandys. Because, I mean, how else is it going to provide for itself? If it can't use its legs, you can't hunt or nothing. So you literally have to be taken care of.
Could somehow get over
No
the
other
functionality
choice.
problems, as the banged up pelvis also likely resulted in chronic debilitating pain. So yes, we mammals have suffered our fair share. But I do want to bounce back to dinosaurs again, because I can't lie, they've got some even crazier stories.
Really?
Remember the Prognathodon from earlier who got his face snatched?
Yeah.
Well, there's a dinosaur that got his or her head snatched, and yet lived to tell the tale.
Nigga, how? How is that possible? Bro, is he a chicken or something?
This story begins
You know how chickens can go headless for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? They'd be running around headless and shit, but dude, dinosaurs can do that?
This story begins 67 million years ago in the Hell Creek region and evolved an adult Edmontosaurus annectans, a species of hadrosaur, who are often slept on, but definitely shouldn't be, because the adults were massive giants, with individuals routinely rivaling the sizes of elephants. And they were certainly a hardy lot, demonstrated by our specimen in question, who came in the form of a skull, or should I say, part of a skull, as overall a huge chunk of it was just gone.
Yeah, it looks like it snapped off.
A section of its right brain case had violently been removed, with large drag marks around the wound, implying that a powerful bone-crushing bite was to blame. And the affected area wasn't just wide, but deep as well, exposing parts of the soft tissue underneath. So I guess you could say you really could have dove into the mind of this dinosaur. Jokes aside, catastrophic injuries putting it lightly. And it was probably even worse.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to see what he's thinking. Or we don't have to assume what he's thinking. We can see what he's thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Even worse than simple bone removal, as along with the skull, they found a patch of essentially fossilized skin and meat that came, by the way, from above the victim's right eye, and was seemingly stripped clean off, with the eye possibly being removed as well. And so another way to think about this is that this guy got hit so hard by something that his bone left its body and then took a bunch of meat and skin with it. Yeah, a little bit nasty.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like somebody bit his shit and just yanked it all out, including his eye, bro. So he got some bobo with it?
This all begs the question of what could really do something so devastating to an elephant-sized behemoth in Hell Creek in the first place. And there's really only one answer. A Tyrannosaurus straight up bit its face.
Yeah.
Now, getting headshot by a T-Rex surely is not fun, and usually fatal. Yet somehow, it wasn't, in this case. As the Edmontosaurus.
That's the thing too, is I be wondering how battles like this just end. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, the Tyrannosaurus Rex just literally mauls this other dinosaur's face off. You know what I'm saying? Gets his eyes and everything. Like, how does that end? Like, how does he keep living? You know what I'm saying? Is a T-Rex not gonna keep going at it until it's dead? Or maybe it was like, this is not even worth it. I'm already full already. Like, I'm good, bro. And let me go clock out for today, being an absolute fucking beast.
Clear signs of bone growth and healing, indicating it was an actual case of failed predation in the late Cretaceous. Signs of bone growth and healing, indicating it was an actual case of failed predation in the late Cretaceous. Despite again the fact that its head was, you know, nearly ripped off. So yeah, unsurprisingly, this specimen probably takes the cake for dinosaurs when it comes to surviving singular injuries.
Definitely.
Yet, I can't talk about pathology in dinos without mentioning the walking triage unit, Big Al.
Big Al?
I sincerely hope you've heard this name before. But in case you haven't, it is just about the most well-known Allosaurus out there. And while its fame has come from Al being 95% complete, he or she is also fairly well known for being extremely banged up. And it almost seems like Mother Nature had a drastic hit out on Al, as through its life, the Allosaurus endured a whopping 19 different major injuries that covered large parts of the body. This included multiple rib fractures and breaks.
Maybe he was rage baiting a whole bunch of dinosaurs, bro. That's the one thing I could think of, because like, how are you getting that much injuries? I mean, just could be at the wrong place at the wrong time too. But what if he's going out and rage baiting bigger dinosaurs and shit because he just thinks, you know what I'm saying, he could go fight everybody and then he's getting his ass whooped every time? I don't know.
This included multiple rib fractures and breaks, a ripped right hand, a punctured hole to its shoulder, numerous infections, including in the jaw by the way, fused vertebrae from traumatic collisions,
fused
a broken
vertebrae?
tail, and a damaged gastralia, which are bones that support the abdomen. So,
bro, so he's saying, wait, hold on. This fused vertebrae is throwing me off right now.
Numerous infections, including in the jaw by the way, fused vertebrae from traumatic collisions.
So you're telling me he got in a collision so catastrophic that it literally fused his vertebrae together? How does that happen, bro? The only thing I can think of is like falling from a high place maybe, or T-Rex coming at you at Usain Bolt speed, but like what else?
A broken tail and a damaged gastralia, which are bones that support the abdomen. So lots of tummy aches for Al. It's believed that many of these ailments came from falls or scraps with prey, and possibly competition, and shows us just how much of an active life Allosaurus has had, plus how hardcore they could be, as none of the injuries I mentioned actually killed him. But that said, one finally did, the 19th, which came in the form of a badly broken left foot that likely happened again during another hunting accident. Now, the broken bones themselves would have limited Al, but the true problems kicked in when the wound became severely infected.
You see, Chad, I'm telling you, it always comes down to the wounds getting infected and shit, bro. That's what like really takes out everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people can live without arms, they can live without legs, they live without all the shit. But if you don't get it treated right and just let it get infected, then it affects your actual body, the insides and everything. You can't do nothing about that. Like, it's gonna be your time to go.
To the point the bone essentially started to rot, making walking exceedingly hard, if possible at all. And Big Al presumably eventually starved from this because it was unable to hunt. And what's quite ironic about all of this is that years after Al's discovery, a second well-preserved Allosaurus was also discovered, who was subsequently then named after it. And thus we got Big Al 2. And it coincidentally turns out that it too, pun intended, was riddled in injuries, as
Is that his day?
showcased by this diagram. Similar to Al numero uno, it's thought that this specimen earned its scars in battle via scraps with prey and foe alike, with some damage to its face even being attributed to facial biting from fellow Allosauruses. The big difference with it, though, is that unlike the original, Mr. 2 suffered a major foot injury as well, yet survived that ordeal and reached full maturity, as opposed to Al 1, who died as a sub-adult. Yet, fate would catch up with number 2 regardless, as in adulthood it suffered a severe fracture to its ischium, a bone that supported the pelvis and numerous muscles, and from this, it never recovered. But how this happened is a complete mystery, especially when considering that this kind of break is almost never seen in large theropods.
I'm gonna assume that it might be a fall, just like the fucking vertebrae contusion thing. I think the only thing that could happen in that case is that it fell somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe the dinosaur is like walking and there's like a cliff or something, like, oh shit, you know, and it's just too late to react to it and then you fall on your ass like that. Other than that, I mean, unless someone's biting your ass, I don't know, freaky ass dinosaur.
Pretty odd. Now, I could go on and on about dinosaur pathology, but there is one more interesting non-dino that I want to end with. As stated with the first Big Al, its death apparently came from a single foot injury. And no doubt if you found yourself limited to just one leg, you'd be in for some trouble. And if both legs were out of order, well, good luck. But then let's say, just for laughs and giggles, your arms were incapacitated too, which in this case, there really ain't much you can do. Well, I guess that only applies if you're human, that is. Apparently. Since in 1948, paleontologists stumbled upon a specimen.
I mean, we can't get like, you know, damn, I completely forgot the name of the robot parts. What is it called, Chad? Prosthetics or something like that? Yeah, I think it's called prosthetics. We can get those, but I mean, that's not completely nowhere near limbs. Not yet, at least.
Since in 1948, paleontologists stumbled upon a specimen that defied those odds. A one-of-a-kind Smilodon. When first discovered, it wasn't its pathologies that gripped the attention of the team, but the size and preservation of the animal in question, which was a giant Triassic-dated phytosaur that could even rival the megacrocs seen in the Jurassic and Cretaceous, with adults measuring up to 12 meters or 39 feet long. And being a phytosaur of this size meant that this specimen would have been one robust, mean killing machine. If, and big if, it hadn't been for some pretty limiting injuries. Across its titanic body, the team found not one,
it's like a huge ass fucking scary dinosaur alligator, bro.
but 8 bones in bad shape that were covered in extensive exostoses. which, if you recall, are
Exostosis.
bony growths that can occur after direct trauma, highlighting that this phytosaur endured some breaks and fractures, which then became infected. But that's not too crazy compared to the other examples just yet. But what was highly odd, and unfortunate for the phytosaur, was that all 8 of the afflicted bones were concentrated to the limbs, and literally all 4 of them, with not a single one being spared. With its left humerus, right,
So it's
and literally
literally
all 4.
the left femur, left fibula, left epidioid, the left humerus, the right ulna. Yeah, that's literally all of it, bro. Holy shit.
Of them, with not a single one being spared. With its left humerus, right ulna, and then both of its femora and fibula bearing damage, plus at least 2 metapodials. Now, it will be almost impossible to ever say just how exactly this phytosaur ended up with such varying pathologies, but interspecific competition has loosely been cited before, and we do see that in some modern reptiles, limb biting is not unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that's what it's from, limb biting from other ones, especially if it was in the water and stuff. I mean, what else can do that? Any other land animal could, potentially, but I don't know.
However, with this said, you would expect something this big biting another one's limb to result in amputations, not just broken bones. But because phytosaurs were much more extensively armored than even modern crocodiles, it is possible that blunt damage from bites was an actual possibility. And one aspect that clearly supports this is that it would have been virtually impossible for this specimen to have received all of its injuries in just one event, with the spread nature just being too coincidental. Therefore, we can just say that it simply suffered from exceptionally bad odds, and these poor odds were only exacerbated by the time the phytosaur lived in, the late Triassic, a brutal era with arid conditions, significant droughts in the area it resided, and numerous competing predators. However, the fact that it didn't die from one messed up limb, let alone 4, is a prehistoric miracle. And not only did it survive in this state for a few days or something, but at the very least, several painful months. And that's only after receiving its final wound. In other words, it could have been living with 2 or even 3 injured limbs for years prior, likely benefiting in some sense from its semi-aquatic lifestyle. And the team—
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too, is that the aquatic lifestyle could make it to where, you know, he's not always constantly putting pressure on his limbs, which would make sense on how he's able to survive even with all these injuries, you know?
Also reckoned it benefited from the lower metabolic rates seen in phytosaurs, which allowed it to live far longer than you'd expect a mammal to if they were not able to easily get food. Yet, advantages aside, this individual was still an absolute unit to keep chugging along with all the injuries that racked up. And in fact, it's currently touted as being the most pathological specimen from the entire Triassic period, an achievement which I can't say I'm particularly jealous of, improving just once more
not jealous.
How absurdly resilient prehistoric animals were. Thanks for watching. Until next time on Extinct Zoo.
Yeah, I mean, everything prehistorically, animals, humans, but especially the animals, I mean, they were just built different, bro. They did not want to go down. Like, it was going to take everything to make them go down. So, makes sense, bro. That's a W video. Shout out Extinct Zoo. Let me know what else you guys want to react to, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.